All right, so let's get to this last one, Act 3. This one's going to be a quick one because we don't have a lot to say about it. It's short and it's new, so you should all just go watch it. It's all just sitting down there ready to watch. Act 3, Werewolf by Night from 2022, starring Laura Donnelly as Elsa Bloodstone and Gail Garcia Bernal of Motorcycle Diaries fame as, what's his name? Jack Russell. Yes, Jack Russell.
Yeah.
Directed by Michael Giacchino. So, Murphy.
Giacchino.
Giacchino?
Okay. Yeah, Giacchino.
All right, I believe you. Werewolf by Night. What's it about?
So, Werewolf by Night is a fun little jaunt of bounty hunter versus bounty hunter for the Great Bloodstone.
Oh, I suppose we have a trailer, don't we?
We do have a trailer, so let's get cracking into that trailer before we get into the nitty gritty. Let's see.
Yeah, which probably won't take.
This Halloween, you can't escape the shock, the terror of Werewolf by Night.
Tonight, it is every hunter for themselves.
Good luck. I'll be rotting for you.
But one of you is a monster, masquerading as one of our own. I can't wait to find out what breed of evil you are. You wanna see this, darling?
Please don't do this. Death is coming for you!
Werewolf by Night.
Here's the thing about this. Did I love Werewolf by Night? Yes. Is it as good as either of the other werewolf films that we've talked about? No.
What? What? Okay, we'll discuss that after, I guess, we break this down. But, like, I'm just going to say that this is probably the better of the three, in my opinion. So, yeah. Werewolf by Night starts off with our main character, Jack Russell. He is amongst a cavalcade of bounty hunters or monster bounty hunters who have been invited to the Bloodstone Manor following the death of Ulysses Bloodstone. He's a fabled monster hunter, and he's looking to pass along the Bloodstone to those who are deemed worthy. Of course, his daughter, Alyssa Bloodstone, is like,
Elsa.
That's mine. Elsa Bloodstone has entered the circle and fray and's like, no, that's my right. You guys don't deserve this anymore, and I'm here to take it.
Who they didn't expect because she sort of had bucked the family tradition and whatnot and left.
Yeah, she walked her wild ways and she came back and she's like, this is mine. So she arrives to compete for the Bloodstone despite Verussa warning her against doing so. The film following Jack, they basically are introduced to a giant large maze, which was a cool set piece that I enjoyed. I was like, that's a really cool way to keep your sets practical. Make it a big maze, and then you can make
cool.
You can make
There's the poster
maze sets.
And I like the fake fold in the poster.
Yeah, the paper fold. So if you don't know, and that's just for the viewers, I don't know if you know this at all, Davan, but at a certain point in time, if you find a vintage poster, it's going to have those folds in it because up until a certain point in time, they used to fold movie posters. For instance, My Clockwork Orange is a vintage movie poster. It's got those folds and the lines because it used to be folded up into like a square, and they would do that, send it to the movie theaters, and that's how they were packaged before they started rolling them up. So if you have an actual vintage poster, it's going to have those crease lines in it, and that's value. That's value. So yeah, great touch in the marketing department.
So there's Elsa showing up, and this is
Showing
funny. Like this part I liked, where it's the Ulysses.
This was the weirdest last will reading ever.
Yeah,
it was so weird. They're just like, yeah, so he's got.
So
his
is that his corpse, or is that a dummy?
No, that's his corpse. That is
Werewolf.
100% Ulysses Bloodstone's corpse. That is his corpse, and he got it turned into a puppet so that it could read his last will and testament. Because even the wife was like, "Oh, he had his machinations, and he just had to be what was her line? It was something along the lines like he had to play his games, and we just had to indulge him. That scamp." And then he starts playing with the corpse puppet, and it's like, this is the thing. You all are going to battle to the death for my bloodstone. So I hope you enjoy. I'll be rotting away in anticipation or something.
I'm rotting for you.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you. Very, very Tales of the Crypt Keeper. Very Tales of the Crypt
Keeper. All he needed was to end that pun with yeah, I totally got Tales of the Crypt Keeper vibe as well. And that was Jack showing up. He's like watching.
Yeah, that's Jack Russell there. He's looking very like lost. The trailer portrays that Jack is the one that they're going to be hunting, but that's not the case, because they go to the maze and they're like, the monster's in there. We've attached the bloodstone to their hide. It makes them very angry. If you're in there and you see one of each other, you're going to kill each other. It's every person for themselves. Yep. Whoever gets the bloodstone gets the bloodstone.
So they go over their kill counts too while they're still all in that room, and they get to Jack and they're like 87. They're all like 87. He's just like. Because
no. Jack Russell was over 100. Yeah, it was actually it was the character of
Thatcher.
Kirk Thatcher, yes. I was
the punk on the bus.
Well, yeah. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. That was the part. So Kirk Thatcher. Okay. I have so much to say about Kirk Thatcher in this role. He's my favorite character. He's so good in this. He was my favorite. He was like. This is the closest thing I will get to a live-action Scotsman from Samurai Jack. I don't know if you've ever watched Samurai Jack, but he was basically the Scotsman in this show. He was a live-action version of the Scotsman. If anybody's watched Samurai Jack, and if heaven forbid they ever do a live-action Samurai Jack, but if they did, that's the man I would cast as the Scotsman. Just putting that out there. Kirk Thatcher.
The punk on the bus.
The punk on the bus, Kirk Thatcher. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that. Kirk Thatcher, who plays Joven, previously appeared in the MCU as Punk on Street in Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, which was a reference to his role as Punk on the Bus in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, Live Long and Podcast.
A role he revisited in season 2 of Star Trek Picard.
The Watcher. So yeah, Kirk Thatcher, gotta give our nerdy Star Trek love to that man. So yeah, there's a whole Jack Russell's in the maze. He's looking for the monster. Turns out the monster is his buddy Ted, which is famous. The Man Thing, honestly, I loved the intro. How it's like a big claw, and then he's like, "Oh, it's my buddy!" Like they played it like a big hype fear moment in the trailer, and you kind of expect that, but he actually was like, "Oh, there you are. That's okay. I found you, buddy.
Especially
it's gonna be
because if you're a fan or familiar with the Man Thing going in, you know that all who know fear burn at the touch of the Man Thing. So Man Thing sneaks up on him, scares him, and yet it still doesn't burn him. So, there's something going on.
Yeah, they're friends. Okay,
he's like, buddy. Cool. Yeah, like he even tells Elsa, he's like, look, if you run into the monster, just tell him you like him and that he's cool.
Treat him like an old friend. Yeah.
And she's like, Ted, so that's a beautiful name.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
He's like,
Looks
oh,
good on you.
yeah.
So
But
yeah, so
let me
basically,
just say right away, this works great in black and white. I'm glad they did this in
dude.
black and white.
So they filmed all this in digital, and they did the black and white and the film effects and post processing.
Yeah,
But they did it to a degree that it was really nicely done. And yeah, the man thing looks great in black and white. So like I enjoyed the setup where they're like, oh, this is the monster. This is gonna help him. Oh, okay, so Jack's gonna help him. And this was kind of like what pulled me in. So Jack and Elsa cross paths.
Yeah. And something I'm glad we do get to see is we do get to see people burn at the touch of the man thing.
Yes, which I thought was really cool. It looks
happens in like
super
half a
awesome.
second. He just goes and they're gone. Like
yeah. So our beloved Jack Reacher is unfortunately burned to the Jack Russell is burned to the touch by the man thing. His head is basically evaporated. Kirk Thatcher, yeah. Kirk Thatcher's character is his head is evaporated.
He is. And some other guy too. I think he burns up 2 people. There's 5 or 6
yeah, there's like 5 or 6 bounty hunters. He definitely burns up 2 or 3 people. Elsa dispatches 2 of the hunters in probably the best 2 sword kills in all of Marvel. I thought they were really slick and well done because she disarms them and then like, dude, I would love an Elsa Bloodstone series. Like, give me
it's coming. I have a lot to say on where this is going here in a minute.
Okay, cool. So yeah. So anyway, Jack and Elsa cross paths again, and they send. They're at this point. Jack's got the bomb. Elsa's looking for Ted. Jack goes to like put the bomb in the thing. She finds Ted. He's playing hot potato with a ball or the bomb in the wall. Eventually gets it open. Ted runs off and it's like, yeah, we win. And
he's
then
off into the woods. He's like, yay, I'm free in the woods.
And they're just like, sweet. And then all of a sudden, Angry Mama Bloodstone comes in and it's like, oh, you're releasing a monster with a monster. Or no, they were coming in and Jack goes to pick up the Bloodstone because she pulled it off of him. And when he touches it, that reveals that he's actually a monster himself. And then it starts to spiral out.
And he has this painting on his face.
Yeah, they're markings.
That's not something from the comics, so that's interesting.
No, I think it was sort of to like lead into the disguise of the character or the monster hunter that he was to be portraying, so we could get into this club. So it might have just been a disguise.
It looks like the makeup of the comic book character Brother Voodoo. It looks more like his makeup. Now sometimes he has more of a skull thing too, but it often is just.
Well, it could be a reference to Ghost Rider as well, because I believe it was Werewolf by Night, a Man Thing, and were members of the original Legion of Monsters, along with Morbius and Ghost Rider.
Yep. Well, look. I might as well just talk about it now. I don't think this is leading to the Legion of Monsters. It's leading to the Midnight Suns. They've already renamed the comics to make it not gender specific. It's SUNS now instead of Suns. There's going to be a Midnight Suns movie. It's going to be led by Mahershala Ali's Blade, likely. We're going to see Man Thing. We're going to see Werewolf by Night on that team. We better see Elsa on that team.
Are we going to see Keanu Reeves as Ghost Rider, though?
No.
There's rumors and rumblings. He's a big fan.
Look, Keanu Reeves is a great guy and everything, but he's not a strong actor. I don't care if he's ever in the MCU. He's not the strongest actor, in my opinion. But I mean, they could find a role for him, and that he would be awesome at. But like, he doesn't need to lead a franchise or anything.
So we get back on track here. So Ted's free, but this time they've traded Ted for Jack, our Werewolf by Night. He wakes up in a cage. Elsa's freaking out because she thinks he's about to eat her.
She's also in the cage.
Like, yeah, she's also in the cage. So he's like, well, it's okay. I won't change for at least 5 days. And she's like, no. That bloodstone's going to change you in like a minute. And he's like, oh, okay. Well,
he just starts
sniffing her. He's like, yeah, I got to get imprinted on you. I got to remember who you are. She's like,
she's like,
and he's like,
once.
It worked. Yeah,
and that's what I thought they were nodding to with American Werewolf in London. See, that's what I was expecting more with that final scene from American Werewolf.
Yeah,
or the scent of her saved her, but it didn't. It was gonna kill her at the end. It was totally
See,
gonna
now that I would consider more a cliche. I would have considered a scene like that way more cliche.
I would have too.
Than if she were to be held back while they just gunned him down in front of her and she had to deal with that sort of drama.
Yeah.
But regardless. So you know,
but it's
Evil
a
Mama,
tense scene. In this scene with her like freaking out and you can see the shadows of the transformation. I
liked how they did this
transformation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they spent all their budget. They spent all their budget on She-Hulk. So
and
I
you
mean,
can't match American Werewolf in London's transformation. So why bother trying?
Exactly. You can't top that. It can't be topped. There's as much as it's been tried and it's always failed. The use of a strobe light and the shadow and the horror of her look, really well done.
She acts the shit. Like I love. They put that in the trailer as well, and her freaking out.
They end the trailer with
so
that
real.
Scene.
Yeah, they do.
So good. She does an amazing job as Elsa.
She is amazing. And I didn't know her as an actress before this, but she's great.
The actress Laura Donnelly. Yeah,
Laura Donnelly. She's an Irish actress, I believe.
Yeah. So
but then we do finally see the wolf. And there he is.
Yeah, a little hairier. I don't know. He's kind of like that scene. I like this scene. I liked how they had the glowing eyes.
That me too. I do like the look. He looks, of all the werewolves we've seen tonight, he's not the worst, and he's probably not the best. I mean, the American Werewolf in London one, at least in the transformation scene, is better. As far as when it becomes a full wolf on the wheelbarrow. I mean, I would take this over that, but that still looked good. But I don't find the werewolves are quite as scary once they go full dog form, because then it's just like you're fighting a wolf. It's more creepy when they're a little anthropomorphized, you know. But I liked it. I like it better than the Wolfman's look, that's for sure. But you can tell it's taken from that. It's very much a nod.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of nods to the Wolfman in this.
And same with American Werewolf in London. Like they even quoted it. They're like, and Lon Chaney, and like, so it's nice that they keep nodding back to the Wolfman.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, Jack Russell has turned into the Wolfman at this point. She's that like taunting him a little too close. I thought she was gonna get her arm ripped off here. I'm a little disappointed she didn't. I was like, okay, she's gonna lose an arm, but she's still gonna be like a menace or whatever. Doesn't lose her arm. They zap him. He busts out. Then he turns into a big like, I'm gonna tear everything up.
He takes out a few guys.
Yeah, we get the atypical Marvel third piece action scene where there's a bunch of cool scenes. Now, okay, what I did love about was it this? I don't know if it was this scene, but it was okay. Like he rips the ear off and he spins the guy earlier, but there was a scene actually earlier where she's having a fight. She's having a fight, and I think she cuts off the guy's hand. Yeah, she cuts off the guy's hand, and she's having a fight with the dude with the one arm, and she does a judo flip. And when she judo flips the guy, there's a blood arc that follows him.
Oh, that's amazing.
So like, that was really cool.
One thing you'll notice about Marvel things is they get crazy into details. Even things that happen too fast that you can't even see it, they still put stuff in there. It's super rich in that.
So Michael Giacchino thought they were gonna. This was like he was going for TVMA with this. He thought he was gonna get a TVMA rating, but they made it black and white so they could PG-14 because it was black and white.
So it wasn't red blood.
Which was just like, yeah, exactly. It just wasn't that little bit of color, and it made all the difference apparently.
And there wasn't a lot of anything like that. Like this wasn't gory at all. There was like that.
No, I mean it was gory-ish, but like gorier than like what you expect from a Marvel. But it was like it was pretty subpar compared to like that of American Werewolf by London.
Oh, there's some gruesome kills in that one.
Yeah. So our man Jack is he's doing his best to survive and all that stuff. Just when things look dire and he's about to get beaten up and die, the man thing comes crashing in.
Yeah, Ted.
And just evaporates Bloodstone Lady, kills her dead. And then Werewolf by Night runs off, Ted runs off. Big happy ending. It was a pretty good ending in my books.
And you get the Wizard of Oz switch from black and white to
color. to color, you know, and it ends with like a nice little cup of Joe scene, and they're like having their buddy moment. It's like, should we have sushi? All right, I'll get sushi. What do you want? Whatever you want.
And I think they did that just so it's not so stark a contrast when they end up in other full color movies in the Marvel universe and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Though they're going to do that with Elsa, because you don't get to see her in color, but haven't seen the last.
Well, no, you get to see her. You get to see Elsa in color. Her very last scene, she's sitting in a chair, full color. It starts with her. It starts with her holding the bloodstone, and the whole thing becomes color. And then it goes
from the bloodstones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right about
So that ends the film, and that's where I gotta say, out of all three of these movies that we watched, the best ending out of all three of them.
Oh, the best ending, sure, because it actually had an ending.
It actually had a proper, appropriate ending. It had good set pieces. I was a big fan of Jack characters. Yeah, the maze set pieces were cool. The fight scenes were really good.
Which scene would you hold up?
Or measure up, if you will.
Yes, we're measuring up here now. My bad. I need to change that. Do I have a thing for that? I'll change that next time. We'll tighten this up again.
We're going to tighten this ship up. We're going to get it in 2 hours next time. The scenes that would hold up, basically the action pieces that were good. Any of the scenes that had Kirk R. Thatcher and Jovan. Basically every scene Kirk R. Thatcher was in was great. There was one scene I thought was a little weird, is when he's heading into the maze, and what did they keep saying? Do you think they just say, and so it shall be, and so it shall be, and so it shall be, until he goes inside, and then they keep saying, and so it shall be, until the next person goes inside, until there's eventually just one person standing there being, and so it shall be, and so it shall be, and so it shall. Okay, my turn.
All right, time to clock out.
You know, right? Like it was like that was a really weird scene. That was the only scene that like stood out to me. But yeah, I love the maze use, and any scene Man-Thing was in, like watching his power. Those are really cool. So for me, those what measured up. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it would be the first time someone burns at the touch of the Man-Thing, but also just that opening corpse puppet scene. the Crypt Keeper scene. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
that's the most memorable one for me. And of course, the transformation in Elsa's look and stuff in the cage.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That image will stick with me.
Yeah. That was a really good shot. Yeah.
Now, which performance would you hold up?
Kirk R. Thatcher's, without a doubt. His character is Giovanna. Like literally, I was like, it's the Scotsman. He's the fucking Scotsman. This is great. And Laura Donnelly's Elsa.
Yeah.
Like I want more of her. Yeah, I need more.
But I will say, Gail Garcia Bernal as Jack Russell is very interesting. And he plays a guy who's been a werewolf for a long time very well, where he's calm about it, but he still has this kind of a weird edge, you know?
Yeah. Like, I got methods to keep this from...
I hadn't seen him in anything in like 20 years, or whenever Motorcycle Diaries came out, and he played like Che Guevara or that.
Oh, really? That's him? Oh, yeah. Wow. I didn't even put those two together. I didn't look at that sort of lineage at all. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
I haven't seen him in a long time. He's a young fella.
Considering that's Michael Giacchino's first directorial, he did a fantastic job.
Is it his first? Yeah, really good. Real good.
Yeah.
All right. Really well, the setting aesthetic, I think we both agree everything looked really good.
Yeah, gorgeous. Like, I mean, from scene one to the last,
to me,
it was really well balanced.
Less memorable than, say, the aesthetic in the Wolfman, because it's new. It's like there's CGI elements. There's a level of fakeness to it that
it's not this level of fakeness. It's a level of downscaledness. Like there was more grander scale in the set pieces of the Wolfman as opposed to this one, where like the set pieces were like, this is mostly for close-up shots. We're not going to get too far back. You're going to start seeing the seams.
It was pretty
So,
much all
like-
close-up shots, jumping from one to somebody else.
Well, there was a
for
couple
sure.
like overhead wide shots of like
For the
like
fights
like
and
the not so much some of the fights, but also like the scene, like for instance when he picks up the bloodstone, like there was an overhead shot of just like the courtyard area.
Oh, yeah.
So there was some scale, but not to the level of like the Wolfman or London, American Werewolf in London. Like not to that scale, but again, this is a smaller budget TV movie,
Okay, so I have to make a confession on the rewatchability here. I'm a kind of a Marvel zombie, so I will probably watch this 10 times. I watch most Marvel things at least 3 or 4 times, because every Marvel movie I enjoy better the second time. So I watch them at least twice. And then I often watch them again leading up to whatever sequel's coming next and that sort of thing. So I'm sure I'll watch this again, maybe next Halloween, but definitely before these characters show up again, or when it's announced that they're showing up again. I'm sure I'll come back and watch this again. So high rewatchability, but also because it's short. Again, I don't think rewatchability, it's an interesting category to think about because it doesn't necessarily make it mean a better movie. Like I would rewatch this over American Werewolf in London for sure, but I think American Werewolf in London is a better movie and had more effect. Like I don't think there's anything in this movie that reaches the heights of the transformation scene or the chase scene for me. But it's just quicker. And again, this is almost like a spoof of those things. So it's like trying to compare
homage. I would consider it more homage.
Better word. Has some spoofy elements like the Crypt Keeper kind of thing, but it's an homage to different things. That's just, you could call that an homage to
be fair, the other two movies had their own spoofy elements to them as well.
They did. So high rewatchability for me.
Yeah, I would agree. It's got a high rewatchability for me. I definitely would watch it again on the Halloween season.
Does it measure up?
Probably. I think so. Yeah, I think it does measure up. This wasn't, to be fair, this wasn't my first choice for werewolf films post 2000. I will admit we're kind of just riding an algorithm wave here for this one, but I want to give an honorable mention to Ginger Snaps. That was my number one choice. The fact you've never seen Ginger Snaps is, I guess, next Halloween drops, we might have to do it again. Maybe check out some other Wolfman themes or horror themes. But I gotta get you to see Ginger Snaps someday, because that is one of the best werewolf films, one of the best portrayals of a werewolf.
Okay, I'm down. Yeah, we just Murphy's like, I could test out some algorithms on Werewolf by Night, so we went with that.
Yeah,
and
so if you showed up because you want to hear our thoughts on Werewolf by Night, thanks for sticking around and watching, or skipping ahead and watching.
Yeah, really though. Maybe we need, like, what do they call them? Markers.
Yeah, I got to
time markers
on YouTube. Markers. Yep, set up the time markers on YouTube.
All right, for me,
start doing that.
Look, for me, it does measure up, but again, I'm a bit of a Marvel zombie, so it would have to work pretty hard for me to not think so. So I don't know how much of my opinion is clouded by that. But for me, it was fun. It was just a fun romp. It was a fun little romp. But to me, that's what it is. It's not like super meaty or significant or anything. Like, even the dialogue isn't great or anything like that. It's just a fun little romp.
To be fair, I bet you if you were to take Marvel, the title Marvel, out of this, and it was a standalone thing and it didn't have any connections to comic books per se.
So you'd have to remove Man-Thing.
Well, no, you could keep Man-Thing and the werewolf in it, but just, they're just pretend like they don't have connections to Marvel, just for the sake of argument, right?
It would still be a fun little romp. But
yeah,
would I watch it again if it wasn't Marvel? The answer is no. It would just be a fun little romp I watched once.
See, that's interesting, because I look at it as like comparing it to other werewolf films I've watched. It's one of the better in comparison to others that I've seen.
I mean, it's barely a werewolf film. It's called Werewolf by Night, but it should have been called Elsa Bloodstone, or The Bloodstone, or The Curse of the Bloodstone, or something. Like, the movie was about her getting the Bloodstone back.
True. Yeah, there's
And
very
we looked it
little
up. I
werewolf.
was like, "Is this even a movie?" And Murphy sent me the screenshot. It's like TV movie. I was like, "Okay, that works."
It works. Yeah. So yeah,
for
I
me,
mean,
I'll say it does, but caveats.
caveats. Yeah, I'll say it does as well. I think it holds up to other werewolf films, and I think it just as in modern entertainment style, it holds up as well.
Yes, for modern,
Good stuff.
okay, fair enough. For modern stuff, it holds up well or measures up well for me. If I'm comparing it to other things of its own era, it certainly does. Like it's black and white and everything. Okay, so let's get moving along here and wrap this show up. Where our werewolf movie rankings? I'm gonna go American Werewolf in London at the top, followed by Werewolf by Night, followed by The Wolfman. That's my ranking.
I think I would put Werewolf by Night, American Werewolf in London, and The Wolfman. That's how I would rank this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that adds what did we say for holding up? We both agreed everything held up. Well, we'll figure that out later. But we have our A movies like Matinee, where we both agree.
Yep.
So that would be everything. Didn't we? I think we went all A movies on this episode.
We basically said they all held up. So all three movies held up, and they're A movies.
Got 3 A's here.
Despite our ranking comparing them to each other.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. In B's movies are when we have a disagreement, like the Tingler. Then we have C's, like the Majestic.
Where we
just
both
didn't quite do it.
Agree. Yeah, we both agree. Like they didn't hold up. It just didn't hold up. B, it's like one holds up, he doesn't hold up, and they both hold up. So yeah, today's movies, they all sit in the A category. They have their elements that get them to hold up.
Yeah, I mean, who thought? But it's a smaller theme, like a broad theme, like cinema. We can come up with anything. As long as the movies we can put in. Our choices were limited here. We could have put The Howling in, American Werewolf in Paris.
Van Helsing.
Wolfman.
Fun fact about American Werewolf in Paris.
I used to watch that as a kid, but it's not good.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be on American Werewolf.
Right. So American Werewolf in Paris. So when they were going to do American Werewolf in London, they had to go to London, and they had 4 Americans that they needed to bring to get visas and stuff. The London Art Academy or whatever were willing to give 3. And they're like, there's plenty of American actors or whatever. They didn't want to cast Buddy, who's Jack. They didn't want to give him a visa pass. At which point, Landis is like, all right, fine. Then I'll rewrite the movie and call it American Werewolf in Paris, and we'll go film this in Paris. And then the London Arts is like, okay, cool. You can have your visa. Don't worry about it. Come film the film. And then they went and filmed the sequel, American Werewolf.
Just do not take your money to France, for the love of God. For the love of
before
the
we
Queen.
wrap up real quick, here's a couple. These are some really quick morsels for Werewolf by Night. Movie morsels from Murphy here.
Yep.
Werewolf by Night film has been in development since 2001.
What?
Yep. They've been working on this since 2001.
Wow.
It's probably passed a lot of hands and gone through a lot of different iterations. I brought up about the comic books about Werewolf, Man.
Who's probably going to be Nick Cage in the 90s.
Right? Oh my God. That would have been rough. Upon the revealing of the specials content rating, director and composer Michael Giacchino expressed confusion for its TV-14 rating as he expected it to obtain a TVMA. This is a fun one. A longtime director of The Simpsons, David Silverman, cameos as the performer playing the flaming tuba, a real-life talent he possesses.
To play a flaming tuba.
Yeah, to play a flaming tuba. And then we talked about Kirk Thatcher as the busman. So that was the movie morsels for Werewolf by Night. Far less compared to the other two. There's a good substantial amount of trivia on Wolfman, but the amount of trivia on American Werewolf in London is massive. I went through so much, and I picked what I felt like was too many. I'm trying to keep it down to 3-5 tops.
We appreciate your dedication.
This is a good one. So
Let's wrap it up.
Those
Coming
Werewolves.
attractions.
Let's wrap it. Yep.
That's
All right,
Werewolves.
let's get out of here.
Hold on, I
So that
gotta
was
play
Werewolves.
a howl. Howl. All right.
Clap for the wolf man. Gonna make your record shine. Anyway,
That guy
so
picked me up
yeah,
hitchhiking once.
really,
The Wolfman from the Guess Who song. Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Well, you
fun
have to
story.
tell this story.
Oh, well, he picked me up. Said he was the Wolfman. He did the voice for me. Told me a story about how he used to follow the Guess Who around on tour till Burt Cummings got pissed off at him one time and threw him up against the elevator and told him to go away. So, and then he blew himself up at a gas station.
That took a hard left turn. What?
People tell you weird stuff when you're a hitchhiker, man. So yeah, he was on a motorbike and he pulled into the gas station and it blew up. He's not. He didn't die. This was before he picked me up hitchhiking.
I'm shocked.
And then he drove me to Quebec and took me to a steamed hot dog restaurant because they have steamed hot dog restaurants. And that I was a vegetarian. Did I even eat them? I probably did. But yeah, I don't know. That was a long time.
All right,
ago.
well, that's a wild story to end this podcast, I think.
I'll have a hitchhiking story for every episode.
If you manage to pull a hitchhiking story that relates to next week's episode or next
to
episode,
Dystopia, I think I can do it. I think I can
Dude, if
definitely
you
do
pull,
a Dystopia.
oh yeah. So that's the theme for next episode. If you want to join us for episode 3, it's gonna be Dystopia. We're gonna leave you guys with these coming attractions. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hold Up, the movie podcast. We are, if you don't know, a conglomerate of United Federation of Podcasts, which has a small collection of other podcasts which you need to check out, including Live Long and Podcast, the Star Trek podcast, where we talk about all things Star Trek. We just finished up our series of Lower Decks. We're currently doing the Prodigy series, which is happening. There's going to be some more. We are also reviewing Enterprise. We do some Deep Space Nine levels of discussion on the Cuters of Trek.
You got my wing, yes, my wing of the Live Long and Podcast, where we do fun games. We get into the science of it. We launch Class L probes. Sometimes we do Debate 9. We just did a supplemental on the Mirror Universe. Actually, it was a Scott-lemental. Mr. Scott ran that one. We have Graphic Histories podcast.
Graphic Histories as well. Yep. Yeah. There's also
there's an animated graphic for that. I should have loaded that up. Oh well.
We'll get those set up next time.
Graphic Histories is on.
Podcast.
You know, Murphy's going to jump over there to the Graphic Histories podcast. Listen to that Mark DeVoe episode.
Oh yes, I am. I'm going to pull that up and check that one out. It's true.
That's a good one. And yes, we have X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. We're going to do that. We do that every Tuesday. We're working our way through. We have an interview coming up with writer Brooks Wachtel as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. Seems like a fun guy. And Super Mater Brothers. Check them out as well. They got lots of reality shows and stuff that they cover over there. And, you know.
And coming up tomorrow, we got Trivial Debates.
Oh, boy. Oh, crap. I don't have a logo loaded up for that.
It's fine, but you can find us on Trivial Debates on YouTube, Twitch, and such. We got
me versus
Jody
Murphy
Simpson.
Versus
gonna be
Andre
fucking
Mayette.
Keeping it back between us East Coasters. You're going down, Davan.
It's the battle of the Blue Nosers. Murphy,
listen.
You're gonna beat me, but only because Jody's the judge. Jody will not have me win this. There's no way Jody lets me win this.
I'm just gonna say this. I don't know how you found out about Dead Space. You've proclaimed you don't play video games, yet somehow you know about Dead Space.
There's this thing called Google. I wrote I don't play video games, modern video games. I stopped at Super Nintendo basically. So I Googled scary video games and it came up Dead Space. And I had just heard something about Dead Space a week before, which I may bring up in my debate. So that's the only reason. I even told Jody I'm going to have to do an hour's research for that one debate because I know nothing about video games.
The choice I made, I've had to do a bit of refreshing research on, and I've actually got to do a bit more research on my other things that we're going to talk about tomorrow on Trivial debates. Yeah, I wanted Dead Space, and I was like, you
Okay.
literally beat me by 2 minutes. My submission was 2 minutes behind yours, and I was like, wait, what? No.
Mine are always the first in.
I'm gonna say this. I was trying to get it before you, but I'm gonna say this. I'm glad you chose Dead Space because the auxiliary that I went to, I didn't think about until I was in the heat of moment, and I can't wait to argue for it. So join us tomorrow. Trivial
has happened to me on this show. You're like, oh, I'm glad you took it. And that becomes part of your bait. You're like, yeah, I was going to pick that, but here's why I'm glad I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, watch us tomorrow. Spicy. Trivial debates. Nice and early. I think we're doing it 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. It's the Halloween broadcast. It's going to get spooky. We're going to talk about things that are a good time. So join us for
coming attractions.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
We're going to watch some coming attractions for next week's episode. And that's it for us. Love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us for the Hold Up Movie Podcast. We're out of here.
Later.